Hello and welcome to WordCamp Europe Insights podcast. My name is Kasia Janowska, WordCamp Europe organizer, and my guest today is...
I'm Dani Leitner and I'm in the sponsor team.
Hi, Dani. It's so nice to have you here. As you know, this year WordCamp Europe takes place in Krakow, and Krakow has a dragon. It's a Wawel dragon. This is the one that stands right in front of the biggest castle in the city. And as dragons are, this beast is rather uncouth. It is not really well behaved. So we took the opportunity to have the questions inspired by the dragon. So, are you ready?
Okay. I'm not sure about that, but let's see. Let's try.
So I will start from the fact that you are from the sponsors team, and our website, WordCamp Europe website, says about your team, the sponsors team works closely with our generous sponsors to ensure an enjoyable WordCamp Europe for all involved. So, how is it going with the sponsors this year? Can we afford this conference?
No, yeah, we can afford it. No, but I think the description is quite good. I would put us even in a more important position because we are the team that actually brings the money, and without there is no WordCamp. But yeah, the main work that we actually do on our daily basis here is communicating with sponsors, seeing that everything works well, that their content is on the website, that they are happy, that they pay us, and that everything goes smoothly for them at the event.
And how do you look for sponsors? How does it work, like in general?
It's typical outreach. We have the list of the past events. So we have some sponsors that we know they are sponsoring every year. And then especially local companies normally, as WordCamp Europe, I think hasn't repeated ever in a place. So you also have to look at local people. Like last year in Switzerland, we were looking at which companies are in Switzerland that we could actually tell, hey, WordCamp Europe this year is in Switzerland, or now this year in Warsaw, and see like, do you want to sponsor it? It's a really cool opportunity. And so we really just write emails and ask them if they would be interested.
And do you have anyone from the local country, from Poland this year in your team to help you finding those agencies, I imagine, or other companies on the list, or are you improvising?
No, we do have someone, I think. At least someone knows a lot about Poland. So I think he's from there. And last year, for example, that I joined last year because I'm living in Switzerland. So I was from Switzerland being in the sponsor team. So normally there is someone, if somebody applied, obviously, because we are all applying to be organizers on our free time. So if somebody applied, it's always good to have someone. And if not, we have the local team. We can always ask.
And as it comes to writing emails to those companies, I imagine you always use English, right? Not the local
Yes.
language. Yeah.
We use English.
And how is it going? Do they answer the emails, or most of them get ignored?
Well, like always, I'm doing outreach. I mean, I'm an SEO consultant. So also with link building, you have to do some outreach. And it's always a lot of people don't respond, even if we're writing really nice emails. But mainly, especially the sponsors that already have sponsored 1 year, they normally know that, well, okay, we will do it again, or don't do it again. So they will answer, especially if you have already a contact there because you knew them from the last year. And at least WordCamp is a brand, no? So normally, obviously, we don't write companies that don't know what WordPress is. So like typical, it's a lot of hosting or agencies, or how you say. So if they hear WordCamp and WordPress, normally they know, well, what is it about? So it's not like coming so completely for surprise, no? So they are more eager, I think, to respond. But obviously, sometimes you also don't have the email address. So like for some company, if we have a contact person there and the contact person left from 1 year to the other, and we need to write to support, or the only email that's available on the website, well, it might not get to any person that can decide anything. So that's happening as well.
You are writing emails to the sponsors, and how often does it actually come to real life, that the sponsor reaches out to us and they fill out the form on our website? Is it more or less frequent action as it comes to looking for sponsors?
I would say less. There are some that already write in July when we open, and then it's just like we don't have the sponsor team yet, because I don't know if people know, but we make the teams in September, October, something like that. So before there is no team, you can be on the team until, I think you can pitch until end of August to be part of it. So in July, then we have some emails lost, like there. Well, some people already asked in July for the form that doesn't exist on the website, that doesn't exist for now. But these are mostly sponsors from the years before that know that this is just an event they want to do every year. And normally when the form goes online on the website, it's already the same moment when we send out the emails to the old sponsors. So they already get the emails before checking the website.
It is very proactive then.
Yes.
So if there actually are people who come to our website and fill in the form, that means there is something in return, because we get their money. But what do they get from us?
Well, they get exposures at the event, depending on the levels. I mean, there are a lot of levels, and most of them have a booth where they can actually exhibit, can talk to possible clients. The logo is on the website, on the sponsor screen that we have always. So there's a lot of things that's included in the sponsoring. And I think for companies that really work a lot with WordPress and with the WordPress community, I think it's a great way to have visibility also in the social medias, on the website, and be there, present. Because I'm working a lot with WordPress because I have a lot of clients that have WordPress websites or my own website. And a lot of plugins I actually use, I know because they sponsored one of the events and I was in contact with them. So I was just like, if I see like 5 plugins that do the same, and I know this person I talked to last year, I'm using this one and not the other form because I had contact with the person, no?
Yeah, actually today, I know I'm the host, I shouldn't share my stories, but I really believe this is a good story, because today I was talking to a support of a plugin that I use, and I asked, oh, do we see each other during WordCamp Europe? And they said, yeah, of course, we're sponsoring, and it will be so nice to come again to Poland and to come again to WordCamp Europe. So yeah, of course, we'll do that again and again, because that's a great deal both ways. To network with people and to, be the sponsor and be remembered very well by everyone around. So there are those levels of being sponsors, and sponsors get different things in return as a thank you for them of being sponsors. And I had a talk a few months back with a teeny tiny agency owner who really wanted the exposure, but he was really afraid that he couldn't afford sponsoring such a huge event as WordCamp Europe. So could you share a little bit for those people who are teeny tiny agencies, what are the lowest packages that they can, let's say, buy or sponsor?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. I haven't thought that somebody would think like, well, that's just a big event. How could I sponsor there? Because it's like too big and will cost too much. Because we actually have like level for everything. And the entry point would be the small business and subscriber. And subscriber is, I think, a really great thing for agencies that want to be present there, that want to have their logo there, they want to be on the website also visible, but they can't have a booth because they don't have the people to stay there at the booth. Because that's something you need you need somebody to be there, because if the booth is empty, that nobody will come, no? Or maybe you don't have like things to print or things to give away, so maybe people don't come to your booth, and it's a whole day or 2 days that you're at the booth. So maybe you say like, well, I don't have somebody that needs to sit there or that's sitting there. I want to make contacts, but I want to have the visibility. So the subscriber is really, really cool because you have some visibility. but you don't have like the work to stay on a booth. And then the small business is a small booth. Obviously, it's not like if you go to the biggest sponsors, they design their booth, they do crazy things. Like last year, brought the camera where they actually made a picture of you and the robot that was drawing your picture with AI or something. Well, that's for the big, but you can have a normal booth as well.
You do not have to do such a crazy
No.
stuff to be a sponsor.
And actually, I think it's really nice because the small business, I mean, they are small booths, but they are one next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, if you enter the venue, and it was the same last year and it's the same this year, and you do go to the small, you can actually talk to a few of them, no? And most of them is like, well, let's see, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? So it's actually just, it's really getting interactive from one small business to one small business because they are just next to each other and have like the same setup. So you would just walk around and look at everyone. Like with the big ones, you sometimes have to go like this, and then it's a really big one and a medium one. And so that's the nice thing with the small business one. They are one by one, and you can really, as the person that goes to the event, to see what's there. What I really recommend every sponsor is to have something.
Mm-hmm.
So people come and look at stickers or at some things that they would want, because then they come and talk to you more.
And do you also, as a team, advise sponsors what is the thingy they probably should have or give away, or how to prepare to be a sponsor of such an event?
Last year, I had 2 sponsors that came to me with the question, because if I started last year in the sponsor team, so it was the first time, so I didn't know was somebody first time sponsor or not. And 2 actually asked me, hey, it's the first time that we sponsor an event like this. Can you help us telling us what's typical or what we should do or what we should prepare? And obviously, then we give them the tips that we know from years before, other people tell us or something like that. But most don't ask. I also had one sponsors where I came there and they were just like, oh, we didn't expect the booth to be so big. I was just like, but we gave you the measure. Is it the first time you're sponsoring? Yeah, it's the first time we're sponsoring anything. And I was like, why didn't you ask?
So let's use that. If no one asks, but for any reason they stumble upon this podcast, what would you advise them as being the first time sponsor? What is the
That's a good
thing
question.
they should do?
Well, first of all, they ask the sponsor team. You have your
Mhm.
person in the sponsor team. You have, as a person, are responsible for like 10, 15 sponsors, where you are the main contact. Just ask, write emails. We are there to answer. So anything that's coming to your mind, if you say like, well, we are thinking of doing an after party, well, write us and we tell you how it works or what's normal. And then from, not just from the WordCamp, but going as a person to a lot of events. Like I said before, bring some, how is it called in English?
Swag, I guess.
Swag, yeah, some swag, something. I have a complete map of stickers, and if the stickers are funny, I'm going there and get some stickers and talk to the people. Like really be there present and say, and something with what I really, normally, if somebody goes to your stand and wants the sticker, wants the bottle, wants the, I don't know what you bring, they know that to get that, they should talk to you and they might need to give you the email address or something. Use that. Not just say like, yeah, take it and let them go away.
Yeah.
Really be active at the stand. And if somebody is coming, oh, can I have a sticker? And I'm just like, yeah, of course. Should I tell you something about our company or about our plugin or something? Because people know that, well, I want the sticker really, so I'm listening now. But if you just skip the chance and say like, yeah, just take it. You just missed the chance. And I think that's really sad, because if I go to a stand and then somebody's like, yeah, just take it. I'm just like, well, that's really sad. You could have talked to me. Maybe I'm interested. I don't know what you're doing, but okay.
Now you will never know.
Yeah.
And as a person who actually goes to lots of conferences, I could also add one thing, that you should choose interested people to be in the booth. interested in being there, because in
And
some
not just on the
conferences,
phone or
never
something.
during WordCamp, interestingly, but in other conferences, I could see people in the sponsors booth that looked like they were super bored and in their phones and not
Mhm.
interested in giving even an eye contact to people passing by the booth.
Yeah.
So as it comes to advice to the sponsor, just be interested in being there.
Yeah, that's a really good thing. And maybe send more than one person.
Yeah.
Even if you're a small business, send two, because someone will need to go to the toilet and you don't want to leave the booth, and someone could get some food, and maybe you get tired of talking all day. So at least you have two persons and one can take a step back for one moment and let the other one. So that's also, if you're just alone there, I think it's really hard.
And do you have any feedback from the people who already were sponsors? Did they like it? I already know that there are some sponsors who wanted to be our sponsors again. But what about, in general, the feedback that WordCamp sponsors have
I
about
have
being a sponsor?
I have a lot of feedback from last year, because it was really nice. At our work at the sponsor team is starting from first day that we're here, we're a team, because it's the first thing you need to do. And it's going until the event. But at the event, and that's what I really like from the sponsor team, when the social media team is really like stressed and needs to do a lot of things, we are really relaxed. The only thing that we were doing on the day of the conference was going around talking to the sponsors. Do you have everything? Do you need anything more? I'm from the sponsor team, so just that you know my face and can call me. I'm just walking around here. So I actually had the chance to talk to a lot and get all this back without giving their email address, my email address. That's great as well. That's just
Maybe because they already had it, but that's still.
maybe, but also because I introduced myself. I'm responsible for you, but that's another thing. I talked to a lot of people, like, how is your experience? How is everything going? And the main feedback we got last year was that a lot of them are sponsoring all Europe, like not just Europe, also US and Asia. And the feedback we got in Europe was that the organization is really great, and that the distribution of the booths normally is really well distributed and people are actually coming.
Mhm.
Because in other events, they said like it was a little bit different because they were on a different floor or something like that. And sometimes it's hard to get the people to see the booths, but they really liked in Europe. Maybe it's also because our venues are smaller here in Europe, but they really liked the organization and overall that they could really make a lot of contacts at the Europe event, also compared to some other sponsorships.
Yeah, I remember from last year that at some hours the busiest area was actually the sponsors area.
Yes.
Not where the talks were, or not where the food was. It was exactly where the sponsors were, which was like extraordinary, I think,
And
for
we
conferences.
were really afraid last year because it was a separate room. Because this
But
year
on
it's
the
even
way
better.
to
Yeah,
everywhere.
yeah, that's right. But it was filling up because it was like the most lively area in the end.
Yeah.
And it was really nice being there. Yes, I thought so as well. It was sometimes more that you missed the talks because you forgot where the stages are, not where the sponsors
Yes.
are.
And this year I am from Poland. I had an opportunity to be in the venue before. So I know that this year it actually is quite attractive for sponsors because they will be all around the places where people has to pass by. There is no other space for them. It is no separate room or anything. People will have to pass by them. Also very attractive as it comes to exposure.
Yeah.
And being able to actually talk to people. So as a team, you do not do a lot during the event. So do you also need volunteers like other teams, or you don't have volunteers in your team?
We maybe have one or two that are like runners.
Okay.
So like that we can have like, oh, could you run there and look for this person? Or I don't know. Normally, like you said, we don't have so much to do at the event except look for the sponsors, except if something happens. Like last year, for example, Switzerland, nice place, but there is some problems with getting things over the border because it's not European Union and getting
Oh,
it
yeah.
back over the border. So there were a lot of issues with stuff not coming or stuff that had problems to get picked up and get there. And there was a lot of like small organizing in the background where we had to get some contacts from the venue and like, or if something is with the booth, it's always look for Mirko. Where's Mirko? Then somebody has to run around and look for him. And so with this, but normally it's just one or two that we could just have to, in case. I think they are the most bored ones because sometimes nothing is happening, which is great for us. But yeah.
And yeah, I know that Mirko is very busy, at least last year, and this year he also is there in the like organizing with the organizing efforts. And I know that it was also his ideas and his hard work to put out the sponsors booths in the right order, in the right
Yeah.
places, so that everyone has enough space and so that people can still flow in between the booths. So yeah,
Yeah, he's a
think that
really important person for us.
exactly. I think I've heard his name during the event more times than anyone else's. We already have the sponsors there on the floor. We have those runners and everything goes smoothly. But before the event, we still have to build the booths. We have to collect all the swag and so on. So do you have any established procedures that you share with sponsors? How should they like deliver the swag? Do they have to like pay for big luggage in the plane, or do you have some smarter idea for that?
We have some standard recommendation or local as well. Like for Switzerland, we had a company that we said, please contact them. They will do everything with the border. Some didn't contact them. So that's where the problems came. Because we have a really nice handbook. Thing I recommend every sponsor to please read. The Wi-Fi password is in there and you will need it. That was the question number 1 last year. And it would have been a handbook, but it has a few pages. So maybe some missed that. But normally, concerning the booth, everything goes from us organizing to the production team. Especially because the big booths, they are really custom made. So they have like really cool ideas. And that's why not every booth looks the same, except the small business, because it's like a standardized. But the big ones, they do crazy stuff on their booths. It moves then from us to production team. And they have then, they're the experts for everything that's on the venue and how to make their booth and how to design it and how to get the printing material here. So that's where we are not so much involved.
Yeah. Okay. I am also asking because, as you said, people rarely read handbooks, unfortunately.
And we are so good at writing them.
Yes. And last year during the local event, we actually had this case that someone had their entire swag in a very expensive plane luggage and it got lost by the plane company. And I was like, really? You could have just sent it.
Yeah.
Like courier. So there are smarter ways of doing things. I think the first thing everyone should take into consideration is simply write an email, ask even the silliest questions, I guess.
That's why you have in the sponsor team a responsible person that
yeah.
If they don't know, they at least ask someone who knows. Yes. Yeah, we had last year as well, like 2 girls from Germany coming with a huge suitcase of swag that was really heavy. And they had to come by train and lift this heavy suitcase up and down and everything. And when they arrived, they were just like, can we just leave it there? Don't bring it back to the hotel and back here. And it was like, we will organize something. Because poor girls that had to bring it from Germany down. I think they were coming from Berlin to Basel with the heavy suitcase and obviously their stuff.
Yeah. Wow. That's dedication, I would say.
Yeah.
So how I know that you are reaching out to sponsors and there is possibility to sign up on our website. What would you tell to anyone to convince them to be a sponsor during WordCamp Europe? To anyone that listens to us.
Well, I think I've already said a lot on that. It gives you a lot of exposure in the WordPress community. And I need to admit, until last year, I haven't really known how the WordPress community really is and works. But it's a really, really huge community, a really nice community. Everyone is really, really nice. And they are all really dedicated to WordPress. And they are, I mean, most sponsors maybe already know that, but it's a lot if you go there, you talk to other WordPress people and you get connections that you don't make so easy outside. And I think if you do anything with WordPress, it's a great exposure there to be more visible in the WordPress community, which is a huge and very important part. And also, I know from last year, because in Switzerland, I know the web design community and everything, a lot of web designers that are not so active in the community went to the event and saw new plugins. Like if you're a plugin provider, that's a great thing to get to these local people that are in this country, where do you find them else in a web meetup?
Yeah, true.
And there are a lot of people going to a WordCamp.
A lot. Like this year, I know that the craziest idea was to have an event for 4,000 people, but I think that stays in our dreams. We will have
We will see.
around 3,000, let's say. We'll see.
Oh, it's not bad either.
Yeah, and still it is a lot of people and a lot of very engaged people in the community and people who actually uses WordPress in many ways.
Yeah. And we have, like we said before, we have a sponsor level for every budget. So don't just think like, well, I need to spend a huge amount because I need a huge booth. There's everything in between. And I think every sponsor got the same exposure, not just the huge ones. The huge ones, normally you already know. So they are the ones like, well, you go there because you know the brand, because it's a big plugin and it's always there, or it's a big hosting company. And then the small ones is normally if you're there to get to know a little bit more things, it's the smaller ones that are actually interesting because you've never heard of them and you're just like, well, what's this thing doing? What are they doing? What's it about? So I think that's actually a great opportunity to also for smaller ones to get seen.
Yeah. And my last question for today is, there is no clear deadline stated on the website until when you can apply to be a sponsor. Is there a deadline?
Well, everyone that wants to be should approach us very soon. We would be very happy to have anyone else that wants to sponsor on the sponsor. I think there is for every level still at least one space left. The only thing is that we need to design the booths. So if you wait until the day before the event, it will be a little bit hard to get a designed booth because there is no time left. So that's something you should have in mind to get on the sponsor list very fast, especially if we want to have a bigger booth that needs to be built.
That's a very good deadline. The crazier booth you want, the sooner you should apply.
Yeah, maybe best like 2 months ago, but we still can handle it.
Thank you. So, as I mentioned, those are all my questions. Do you want to add something?
Well, no, I think we actually said a lot. I want to animate anyone that has never sponsored to try it at least once, because it's actually a really nice event. And everyone that's listening that thinks like, well, maybe I could help as well next year in the sponsor team. Obviously, just try it. We always have some people that are doing it for the second year, some people that are doing it for the third or fourth or fifth year, and some that are completely new and like me last year and completely lost. It gets easier. Every year it gets easier.
And do you know, is there anything specific that you would have to put into the application form to stand out from all the people who apply to be an organizer in the sponsors team? Like any kind of experience or any kind of comment or note or anything else in the form that you should put into to like pop in the eyes of the people vetting that form?
But if you have some experience in finding sponsors, obviously put it, because that's always valuable. And for me, like the entry point last year was I'm local. I'm in Switzerland, so I'm here. So that's always, we always look to have on this team also some local person. So that's helping as well. If you say like, well, next year it's nearby, it's in my country. Well, Switzerland, everything is nearby, so everything in the country is nearby. But if it's in your country and nearby, and you say like, well, that's my chance, maybe I should just do it, apply, because there's a high chance you actually get chosen to be one of the local people in the team that has a little bit more knowledge about the country.
Yeah. And I know that you do SEO things in your normal outside
In my
WordCamp
life.
Europe stuff in your life. But did you have any experience finding sponsors, or do you do anything similar in your work that helped you being part of the team?
Well, in this case, just doing outreach for link building, which is some
Mm-hmm.
part of SEO that's important to write other pages and bring them at all the digital PR. So that was, at least when going to writing emails and cold emails, it's something I was used to.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of. I mean, you're never used to getting no answer. It always feels bad, but at least you expect it a little bit. But I think it's not necessary. You
Mm-hmm.
don't need to have some background, because we have the person that's leading our team is really experienced. Everyone is helping each other. We have template emails. So it's not that you always, when you write an email, you have to write a new email and think of what should I write in the email. We have templates for that. We have a handbook for us and how the processes work. And there are actually processes. So it's actually, getting into it is really easy, even if you have none. Because when I got approved for the sponsor team, my first thought was, I have no idea how to do that. I was just, well, let's try.
Mm-hmm.
And you learn. It's working. It's not that you get thrown into, like, how do you say, in a cold pool? Do you say that in English? In German, you say it. You get
I
thrown into
think in
cold
English it
water.
would be to go deep waters, but I am not native.
Yeah, that
So
might be. Yeah, in German, it's you get thrown into the cold water. And it's not like that you're there and you're completely lost. There are people around. We meet once a week. So we have one meeting, like 20 minutes once a week, where you can actually ask questions, where you get updated and everything. And if not, we have the Slack channel where you can ask anything. So you don't need to have knowledge in in finding sponsors.
yeah. So thank you very much. I learned a lot about sponsors team and about the things that are done in the background as it comes to organizing WordCamp Europe and getting sponsors and what they are getting from us. And as it comes to you, the listener, please write in the comments at least one company that you think would be the greatest sponsor of WordCamp Europe. And in case you have an agency or other company that is in general connected to WordPress in any way, and you would like to be a sponsor, please go to our website and apply as a sponsor. There are still spots. And even if you are listening or watching already after the event, remember the next one will be happening next year.
Yeah.
So you still can apply and just reach out, because it's really, really worth it. And of course, remember to subscribe to our newest podcast. We are on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and every other podcast platform that you know, probably. So please do subscribe, comment, and like so that other people can see our episodes. And of course, see you next time. Thank you very much.